Welcome to Weaponized Culture. My name is Glenn, coming to you with a brand new video on the announcement that we've seen for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So this one's brought to you by Bounding Into Comics, absolutely great website. I definitely recommend jumping onto boundingintocomics.com and checking out their content. They can be found on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and they definitely have a notification bell icon in the corner, so make sure you hit that one so you can see every time they release a new article. Jumping into Just before we jump into this article, I just want to put it straight out there. I'm not a huge fan of Discovery. I'm not a huge fan of Picard. I'm not saying that to annoy anyone. That's just my opinion, kind of where I sit. My opinion is if you like Discovery, you're right. If you don't like Discovery, you're right as well. And same for Picard. I'm just here to talk through my opinion, what I think of this news. I'm not here to try and change or take away yours. So jumping into this article, Akiva Goldsman discusses his vision for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Goldsman, the main creator behind the upcoming Star Trek Strange New Worlds series on CBS All Access, recently discussed his vision for the show. The show is expected to take place in the 10 years before Captain Kirk boarded the USS Enterprise. So already that gives them so much time to play with. Um, and there's enough established canon that they can do a fair bit within there, but there's so much we don't know around that time as well, so that there's a lot that they could do that's brand new. Goldson spoke with Variety, so being the source article for this, where he explained he plans to take the show back to classical Trek values. That to me is an extremely important point. Reason being, what we obviously Discovery we know is chock full of identity politics. It's just so agenda driven. When we get to Picard, well, we know that that is somehow about Brexit and Trump. Now, I'm not particularly involved in either of those topics, so I don't really get how that season was about Trump and Brexit. But we know that that was politically driven. Um, it's not really the agenda and the politics that annoy me about Picard, but that's an entirely separate issue again. Getting back to classical Trek values, I think, is going to be paramount in trying to make this work. Goldsman stated, "We are trying to harken back to some classical Trek values to be optimistic, so opposite of what we've seen so far, and to be more episodic. Not a bad idea." However, he does note that the show won't be completely episodic, as they will still embrace serialized storytelling, much like DS9 did with the Dominion War, and at the time it was kind of questioned, but I think it worked out really well. He explains, obviously we will take advantage of the serialized nature of character and story building, but I think our plots will be more closed-ended than you've seen in either Discovery or Picard. Not too hard there. I think the main weakness of Picard is that they just didn't do enough of the character and story building. Everything was just kind of look here, look there, ooh, shiny. They didn't. I mean, they really didn't do enough even world building as well. It was something brand new, and we just didn't get to see it. But again, separate issue. Maybe there'll be a Picard video down the track. Goldsman went on to explain that he imagines his new show being similar to the original series as opposed to Deep Space Nine. Interesting. He added, "We can really tell closed-ended stories. We can find ourselves in episodes that are tonally of a piece." Well, again, as long as that tone is more optimistic, then I think they're definitely going in the right direction. Goldsman went on to explain how they will explore a combination of serialized and episodic storytelling, citing the original series' The City on the Edge of Forever episode. "I think one thing that we always struggled with was that Kirk is heartbroken at the loss of Edith Keeler in The City on the Edge of Forever and has to be fine the next week. He continued, I think that what we would want to do is keep the characters having moved through and recognizing the experiences they've had in previous episodes, but to be able to tell contained episodic stories. I actually really like this idea. I think that, sure, keep it episodic, keep it so, you can miss a week, but to be able to just have little references to previous episodes, maybe even a few episodes ago, I think that there's definitely a payoff there if they have the writing talent to do it. Goldsman also indicated that they will explore shore leave episodes. It's hard to do shore leave episode in the middle of a long serialized arc. I mean, okay, I'd kind of like to ask a few more questions, kind of as around why. I mean, a shore leave episode could definitely be used as filler. It could just be an episode that maybe you put in there, and maybe there are kind of small, maybe a small little clue as to what's going on with the overall storyline. Well, the show will spin out of Star Trek Discovery and will feature the return of Anson Mount as Pike, Ethan Peck as Spock, and Rebecca Romaine as Number One. Their characters will have matured, says Peck. Anson Mount as Pike. Now, I have to say, he was the absolute saving grace of Discovery Season 2. I thought he was great. Was absolutely the best part of Season 2. Ethan Peck as Spock. Look, I mean, the performance of Spock, I wasn't too sold on. I don't know whether that is Ethan Peck or because of just the material that he was given. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely just a world away from Leonard Nimoy's Spock, which, it's 10 plus years beforehand, so people change over time. So I guess we can kind of work with that. But now that we've got this show, I mean, Ethan Peck, we'll see how he portrays Spock going forward, and maybe he will win me over the line. Again, that's just my opinion. It just didn't kind of land for me. I know other people think it was great. And again, not trying to take away or change anyone's opinions, just for me, it didn't quite land. Rebecca Romaine is number one. Look, I can't really say anything about Rebecca Romaine or number one. It's a character that we've barely seen. I mean, we obviously saw her in The Cage, and then Rebecca Romaine's number one. We only really got to see a couple of times in the season 2 of Discovery. So I'm actually looking forward to bringing that character back and kind of building her out so we can get an idea of what that character was all about. So getting back to Ethan Peck here, he explained it'll be a whole new challenge for me as an actor portraying Spock because you've had this transformation. I can't wait to see what we explore. As for what they might explore, Peck was open to the idea of Pon farr. I really have no idea, but I would think it's a strong possibility. For those unfamiliar, Spock explains that Pon farr is the time of mating for the Vulcans that is shrouded in secrecy and ancient rituals. There are also some major side effects to this time, as well as Spock notes it rips the logic from the Vulcans. He adds that it brings a madness which rips away our veneer of civilization. Pon farr, I think, could definitely be a decent storyline to have a go at. We know that Pon farr happens roughly once every 7 years. I'm not too sure exactly where Spock's bout of Pon farr happened within the original series, but being within the 10 years beforehand, that can definitely put us in the timeline of when Spock would have been retroactively due for a bout of Pon farr, I guess. So I think that could be interesting. Peck also explains that this is the best time for Star Trek because of the show's ideology. I don't think that there's ever been a better time for Star Trek because of its ideology. It's all about coming together and using the ways that we're different from one another for the advantage of people as a whole. Look, I actually agree with that statement. Star Trek, at its core, is about coming together. Uh, Now, when I say Star Trek at its core, I don't mean Kurtzman Trek. Um, Kurtzman Trek, we know that it is designed to divide groups. Not only is it designed to divide groups, you've got Picard, which is trying to divide and have actively put things in there to either annoy or provoke people. If we can just get back to just making Star Trek, I think the fans might react positively to that. And what we might kind of see is perhaps some kind of reunification down the track. Now, I get that there are different kind of camps in the Star Trek fandom right now, and I honestly don't really care what camp people are in. I'm not here to try and change people's opinions. I'm not here to take away their opinions. Um, just because I am not a fan of Discovery and Picard doesn't mean that anybody is wrong for liking those shows. If you like it, then you're right. If you don't like it, you are also right. As for when the show might actually go into production, Goldsman admitted he was clueless, telling Variety he has no idea. Look, that's entirely fair. Obviously, everything's trying to open up at the moment around the world, with varying degrees of success. Some places are certainly doing better than others. I know here in Australia, um, I know my state is trying to open, but it looks to be a bit too early because we are seeing some fresh cases. Um, the other thing I want to talk to is that obviously being in Australia, one of the reasons why I really haven't seen much of Rebecca Romijn's performance as number one is because I have to rely on Netflix to see these Star Trek episodes. Now, because of the relationship between Netflix and CBS with this brand of Star Trek, the short treks were not uploaded onto Netflix. So I haven't been able to see them. Uh, I've checked Amazon Prime; they don't seem to be on there either. Amazon Prime is how we had to watch Picard, so we had to have two subscription services to see each of the series, and it just doesn't seem to be on there either. So I haven't been able to see the short treks that Rebecca Romijn was in as number one. So I guess this show, Strange New Worlds, will be my first proper look at how she goes about that. Uh, that's all I really wanted to talk to today. Let me know in the comments, do you think that this show could have the potential to kind of see the reunification of the fandom? Do you think that they'll have the writing talent to be able to pull this off? Are you holding out some hope um, that this could finally be the new Star Trek show that kind of brings more of the fandom together than not? Again, if you, I'm not trying to take anyone's opinions. I'm not trying to change anything. Just let me know what yours is down below. I'm happy to even have a chat. I'm happy to discuss the ideas as well. Look, thanks for watching. If you like what you heard, hit the subscribe button. If you didn't like what you heard, well, thanks for hanging around this long, and I'll see you in the next video.